Hi there, so we're on to the princesses now, and we'll begin with the, as always, with the suit of wands. So here we have the Princess of Wands, who can be seen jumping into a flame, naked, and she carries a tiger. And the other thing to note in the card is this, the altar there by the side of the yod-shaped flame that she jumps into. The card represents the earthy part of fire, but the princess is naked and she sort of gives herself up to that fire, so there's not a lot of earth in this card, and therefore you would expect fire to be the dominant element of her personality, and it is. So we'll go on to the next section now and have a look at the symbology in detail, and then see how this translates into a Celtic Cross spread. Okay, looking at this card in detail, we can see, say the basic symbology is she's got a tiger that she holds and is in control of. You've got the sun wand here, you've got this yod-shaped flame, the altar, again with flames issuing forth from the altar. Princesses here, you can just about see in the picture. So she's the earthy part of fire, but with lots of fire. She gives up her earth element. According to elemental dignity rules, earth and fire actually strengthen each other and are neutral, so inherently there's not a contradiction in terms of elemental dignities. But as I said, the fact that she gives up her earth gives this character an essential like combustibility. It's like she just gives herself as fuel for the fire, and we'll see this reactive sort of nature that she's got. We'll see that come out as we go through the video. Okay, so we'll just move on to the Tetragrammaton, as I mentioned that in detail in the introduction, so hopefully we can cut down on that this time. She's in the hay final there. One thing I didn't mention in the introductory video is that this Tetragrammaton divides the soul into 4 parts, and she represents the lowest, or the animal soul. It's called Nefesh. My Hebrew is terrible, non-existent in fact, so I'll try and put something a little bit about that in the notes that accompany this video. So yeah, she represents the animal soul there. Right, as far as the Tree of Life goes, as again mentioned, she's in the Malkut, which is the 10th Sephiroth here, and the lowest on the Tree of Life. With regards to the 4 worlds, because she's in the Sea of Fire, she's represented in the first world here, which is Astrology. Again, the diagram that I think we saw in the introductory video to the princesses, this 10th Sephiroth here, it's almost like she's not part of the Tree of Life, because she's so far down, she's so far into matter. She's in the manifested part, and therefore she's a sleeping princess, because she's lost in matter and disconnected from spirit. There's no direct astrological attributes to the princesses, however they do occupy the same space around the North Pole as the aces. There's also a geographical attribute to the Princess of Wands, which I again mentioned I think in the very introduction to the court cards, but I'll put that again in the notes that accompany this video, just what part of the world she actually is said to rule, but she does not rule time like the other court cards and minor arcana. Right, without further ado, we'll move on to the symbology of this lady in detail, or at least as much detail as I could find. Okay, so she's leapt into this yod of fire here, so she's leaving behind mundane things, going with her passions and what inspires her. This sun wand here has 30 rays, which is reference to the path of Resh and the sun trump. So the wand therefore represents her energy, her vitality and enthusiasm. If I go back, the sun trump is actually, if we look at the tree of life, it's on this path here, 30th path. So nakedness means she's not afraid to fully express herself. I've mentioned that there's no earth, she gives herself up to the flame, so she's a very combustible sort of character, very fiery. The tiger, which occupies a big part of the card here. Tiger is a fearful animal, and she's tamed this, so it signifies that she's got a lot of courage and she lacks fear. On the altar here there are 5 roses, represents the 5 passions. Again, they're on fire, so again, very fiery nature, very fiery senses that she's got. The altar there has got 4 rows of ram's heads here, and there are 3 in each of the corners of the altar, so 4 times 3 equals 12. This represents the spring equinox. There are 12 that go face upright and 12 that are ill-dignified, and that represents the equal length of day and night in the spring equinox. Another big feature about the card is these ostrich plumes that she's got, and those represent her sense of justice. I say her sense of justice, and they represent the crown of Mart, justice and daughter of adjustment. It's also found in the adjustment card, and we'll go through that when we go through the major arcanas. So as I said, she has a sense of justice, albeit her own unique kind of justice, and this can make her vengeful and cruel when she feels like it. Okay, that's it for the symbology. We'll go to the I Ching. She's associated with the 27th hexagram, which, if we look at the associated trigrams, if I can get my diagrams right, here we've got earth above fire, thunder being the fire, mountain being the earth. So 27th hexagram is associated with nourishing, and it's that cycle of life where all of life is sustained by like a self-perpetuating system. So applying this to the Princess of Wands, it's like nourishing, make sure she's nourishing herself and others, and that should be like a reminder to her, because she can be quite reckless. So it's raising the question, is she nourishing herself in a positive way or not? Also, if you're nourishing others, are they worthy of that support? So overall, she has to look at her lifestyle. As I said, perhaps she has a tendency to be a bit reckless in her sort of quest to express her ambitions. So she's got to perhaps rein herself in, or at least take the time out to find some balance in her life. And that's probably the earth coming in there to try and reclaim some of that lost earth when she threw herself into the flame. It's like jumping out of the flame for a little bit and reassessing things. So in terms of divinatory meanings, it can represent someone who is confident, daring, exciting, freedom-loving, non-conformist, impulsive, ambitious. You sort of get the type of character that she's turning out to be. She's also very popular. As I said, on the negative side, she can be vengeful, temperamental, unruly, shallow, and cruel. But in terms of divinatory meanings, this card can also mean like overcoming old fears and patterns, such as the tiger. It's not all like a negative thing, so it's like setting yourself free from them. It's like you brought them to the surface and conquered them. Although this person does tend to do that the hard way, it can still represent a time in somebody's life where they have conquered fears and have basically jumped into the fire and energy of life, which is all positive. Okay, we'll move on to the final aspect of this video, and just the Celtic Cross. So if the Princess of Wands comes into the heart of the matter, it's the first card out. It could be the need to fully express yourself without fears and holding back. So it's a time to be courageous. If she's a crossing card, it could be that you're being over reckless with your life, not looking after yourself, or it could be fear of even expressing yourself. In other words, you haven't tamed that tiger and they're very much pinning you down. So your ambitions are not being realised. And this comes in with the unknown influence there, or unconscious influences. And that's sort of fears that are hanging in the background that you really haven't even thought of dealing with yet. So it's even further back than the possible obstacle. Recent past could be a period where you've been too reckless without thinking things through, but nevertheless it's brought lots of exciting adventures to your life. Hopes and goals. They need to be more ambitious and impulsive, going with the flow of life more, not letting fears hold you back. Number 6, the future, the need to nourish yourself and not become reckless in action. Just finding that balance. Your self-image, confident, free-loving, non-conformist, and you seek your justice when you're wronged. How others see you or your environment. It could be a partner, again someone that you're attracted to that's outgoing, lovable, fearless, confident, but can be very reckless. Again, the same themes coming up. Guidance and warning. The need to overcome fears in order to break out of where you feel you're stuck right at this moment in time. And finally, overall outcome. So it's overcoming those fears to connect with like an inner confidence so that you can fully realise your ambitions and desires. And to sort of live life fearlessly. Okay, I think that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, as always. And next on we'll move to the Princess of Cups. Another very beautiful card. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.